Hello, beautiful soul, and thank you for being here. Today, we're going to be talking about karmas, connections, and shifting soul groups, as you can see. And shifting soul groups is a phenomenon that I have personally experienced many times throughout this lifetime alone, and have helped many clients through around the world. And I wanted to talk about it today because at the time of this recording, although this is a timeless piece, I am seeing that many people are going through this cycle again of shifting soul groups. So I wanted to break it down and talk about it. Feel free to come back and listen again whenever you find that you are going through this again in life. If you are a spiritual person or if you are self-aware in any capacity, you will probably find that you will go through a process of shifting your soul group several times throughout life. This is because, in my opinion and experience, people who are on this awakening or healing or self-awareness journey or spiritual journey tend to be inclined to clear karma rather than create karma. And so we tend to assign ourselves and our own individual soul the task of clearing up as much karma within one lifetime as we can. Many of us who are on the spiritual and awakening journey are also working in this vein where we would like this to probably be our last incarnation on earth in this density at the very least. And so if that is also the case, that means that you are going to be called to work on a lot of karma and clear it all up if possible. And in order for that to happen, that means you need to be in touch with several different soul groups, several different types of people, and you need to work through as much of that as possible as quickly as possible, again, in my experience and opinion. And so if that is to happen, and if that is a true goal and belief of your soul, you will probably find that you will shift soul groups more often than most people, although everyone shifts soul groups to a certain extent under certain circumstances. So I know that was a big download. Let's work backwards a little bit and break that down. First, for those of you who may not know what soul groups is, let's talk about it. Soul group means a group of souls who have experienced lives or lifetimes before, who have probably incurred karma with one another, and who take on the assignment of giving and teaching lessons to one another through experiences that can be had here through the density of the earth plane, or in other planes as well. And this can happen. Souls can be born into these soul groups in terms of family members that have incarnated together many times before and continue incarnating in a bloodline family, just maybe switching the roles up. This can also happen in groups of friends, spouses. Really, the possibilities are endless. But the most part, people think of soul group as this group that is part of your life for your entire life. And while that can be, and that very often happens in cases where soul groups are blood family, there are other types of soul groups as well, in my experience, that get activated as we work through our karma. And as we are working through that, or working on healing or awakening several parts of the self, let's say we awaken something of our starseed self, then we may start to resonate, vibrate towards, and or attract soul group from that particular star system. Let's say we are working on healing from narcissistic abuse. We may awaken and connect with soul group who have gone through that similar circumstance. We may connect with soul group from people that have similar gifts or beliefs as we do, or are here to learn a specific lesson at a certain time. So in my experience, and this information is being channeled as well, by the way, there is another type of soul group which is not necessarily souls that have dealt with one another before personally, but there can be soul groupings on a universal level of groups that are here to learn particular lessons and or particular abilities. And so you can tap into and resonate and vibe with a soul group, even of people and souls that you have not personally experienced and or created karma with in the past. And when shifts happen, now there can be personal shifts, as we were discussing, where you're working on healing or awakening something. That's a shift for you, and all of a sudden you attract what is a new to you in this lifetime soul group. Or there can be collective shifts in soul groups. So when there is a collective shift happening, which I believe is happening at the time of this recording, and if you are watching this in subsequent years or listenings, that may be happening again because of the way that the quantum space and paradigm works. And so a collective paradigm shift in soul groups looks like perhaps a political event happening, or an online event happening, or some kind of devastation or some piece of information coming to light, something where people have to decide what they agree with now. And, like I said, this can happen in terms of a new political leader coming to light, or a great tragedy happening and seeing how everyone reacts to and deals with it. It could happen in terms of a new piece of technology being offered and people saying whether or not they agree with that, or a new piece of medical information being offered and people deciding if they agree with that or not. And so whenever these decisive moments come up, they can also be divisive moments in terms of creating shifts within people that maybe were not paying too much attention before that thing or that catalyst was sparked. And so once that fuse is lit, shall we say, shifts in the soul groups that we've become accustomed to or known or familiar with can happen in terms of people can make different decisions. All of a sudden, people can, do things that they might not have done previously, or someone could have judgment about it that they might not have had previously. And when this happens, people quite literally on an unconscious level or a higher level will decide if they want to continue timelines and shifting together as a soul group, or if they want to shift out of that paradigm where they've continued to be in resonance. So that is what would be happening during a collective soul group. And this could also be happening in terms of other areas or parts of the world that may not be aware of the same catalyst, but may be lit with the same spark and given the opportunity to decide if they want to continue vibrating in resonance with the soul groups that they have been in contact with, or if they are ready for a personal shift. Now, outside of the collective spark of soul groups shifting, when we have a personal soul group shift, let's talk about what that feels like. So that usually feels like karma being completed, which I know may not be a familiar or a consciously familiar feeling, so we're going to talk about that too. And when karma is completed, you remember that soul groups and souls incarnate for reasons, and especially incarnate together for reasons. So they make an agreement on the higher level before they're ever born of what they want to learn and what they want to teach each other, and then they choose the best and probably fastest ways to learn those lessons. And sometimes learning or teaching those lessons can come through behaviors that are not fun. Sometimes abusive behaviors, sometimes fighting, disagreements, things like that can happen and are quite well known in karmic relationships. But it can also look like one person really investing in their healing more than the other. And I know people don't like to use this term, but outgrowing the other person or that particular soul group. And remember, outgrowing doesn't necessarily mean growing higher or growing better. It just means growing in another direction, and everyone has the right to do that. I heard Tyler Perry recently talk about the fact that not everyone is meant to be in our lives for the entire lifetime. I'm sure everyone almost is familiar with this phrase of people are in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And Tyler Perry was giving a speech. It might have been a sermon, actually. And he was talking about the fact that some people are in your life for a season, like the boosters on a rocket. And it doesn't mean that they're bad people. It doesn't mean that they aren't intelligent or compassionate or loving. And it doesn't mean they don't care about you or you don't care about them. However, they're not all going where you're going. They're not all built to go where you are going. And so you may, for this lesson and this reason and this season of your life, be the rocket, and they may be the boosters. They may be in your life to get you to a certain level or to witness you getting to a certain level. And then once you break through that atmosphere as that rocket, what happens? The boosters on the rocket fall away because they're not built for that outside atmosphere. They're built to a point. And this is how relationships, and especially karmic relationships, tend to go. But soul group relationships can go this way as well, because many soul groups are built on the momentum of karma because of these ideas of, freeing ourselves from that samsara, from that patterning. And it's entirely possible that a season could be years, could be decades, could make you think like that relationship is the lifetime relationship or is the forever relationship. But you could maybe not have the perspective at that moment to see that, no, it was just maybe a longer season than you're used to. And so we go through this during several parts of life, in my experience, where we start to recognize that the people, the groups of friends, even the groups of family or the spouse, whatever it is for you, whoever it is right now for you, we start to notice the sometimes hard truth that some of them are seasoned people. And then we go through a period of grieving or confusion or anger because we're sad or mad that we didn't realize sooner that they were seasoned people and not lifetime people. And sometimes we try to make them fit through that square peg in a round hole, and we try to make them fit, or we try to keep the relationship going, or we try to cling to it. And it's not always meant to continue. And that can be a really hard and difficult thing to deal with. As karma is being ended in particular, the feeling that most people will get is this feeling that something is off, that something is different, that you're not necessarily on the same page with one another anymore. You may also feel like you don't speak the same language that you used to. This is because one or both of you may have invested in your healing, as we were talking about, in a different way than the other, and really grown in a different direction. And in my experience, karmic people in particular will get quite defensive when you are healed or when you are healing. Because remember, there are certain people who are in your life for a season, no matter how long that season is, who are there only for the unhealed version of you. And so when the karma of them being around for that hurt part of you is done or is almost done, they will start to push back in many cases against this healed or healing version of you, this version that is more compassionate with the self, or has gotten rid of some of your triggers, or who no longer wishes to do things that you find toxic. And the karmic person really, in my experience, tries to cling to or push you to cling towards those things that were the parts of you that were not doing well, that were unhealed, that were upset or depressed or struggling or suffering, because that's the part of you that they are used to. And their relationship with you is built in large part due to karma, due to getting each other to a certain point in the atmosphere. And they know on some level that they're not built to go beyond that atmosphere. So sometimes they'll try to cling to you, or maybe you're the person doing the clinging. And, one tries to hold the other back from that next level, and it starts to feel not good. People start to notice that one is holding the other back, or starting to feel that way, or starting to feel some resentment, or starting to notice, the manipulative language, or maybe the side comments, or the teasing, or the joking, right, about the new way of life that you have worked very hard or are working very hard to accomplish and enjoy. And this is when relationships start to kind of go bad. Sometimes good relationships go bad. Now, it doesn't always happen. Sometimes people are cordial to one another and they just recognize that they don't have as much in common as they once did, and they grow in different directions and they just keep in touch less. And of course, that's kind of the ideal version of shifting a soul group, or outgrowing someone, if you prefer that term. But many times people come to me because of this other version of shifting soul group and karmic relationship and soul contracts. Soul contracts is probably another chat and channel session in itself. But many spiritual people, or really everyone, goes through this at some point in life, where the relationships that once fit no longer fit, or are no longer desired because they're no longer serving the same needs. Sometimes our needs change, and sometimes we only have those needs for a particular unhealed season of our life. So I want to encourage you, if you are feeling that you are outgrowing certain relationships in your life, if you are noticing childlike behavior among people that you've been close with, for any period of time, and are now seeing a childlike shift in their behavior, know that that's probably their inner child wound screaming and lashing out about the fact that they feel the karma ending. And what happens when karma ends, and the reason why relationships tend to end, or soul groups tend to shift when karma ends, is because in order to maintain connection or relationship with a soul when the karma is done, both parties have to invest the same amount of time, energy, awareness, and effort. And that doesn't often happen. It takes a lot of work, and both parties have to be willing to do the work to maintain relationship and get to know each other on the new level, and also redefine the relationship out of the paradigms of karma, because we think of karma as a strictly bad thing, but a lot of times karma can be good as well, in terms of we teach each other good things, or we're supportive elements in each other's lives for certain periods of time. And when it's over, we have to figure out, okay, well, we got through that. We're through that season. So are we going to renew for another season and update our characters and update our personality and redefine our relationship together? Or was that enough? Was that enough for us? And is the relationship going to peter out? Sometimes it explodes out, but that's really up to you and your particular self and your particular shift. But I hope that this has helped you. I know that we went over a lot of information today in the little bit of time that we have spent together here. So please feel free to listen again and take some stream of consciousness notes of your own. If you are new to chat and channel session, by the way, I usually introduce myself, but I didn't today because I was so excited about the topic. So if you are new here, welcome. My name is Danielle, #damsel at These Enlightened Edits of damseldesigns.com. I am a spiritual advisor, quantum Sikhem and shamanic energy healer, psychic medium, energy artist, and so much more. And in these sessions, as you can see, my guides, or in some cases, some of you present me with a topic, and we do the stream of consciousness on it. So because of the way my gift works, you also have the ability, as you are listening, you may have noticed that you've picked up on some information or some hints or cues about your own life. And this is because of the vocal light codes and transmission style that I work through with the quantum space, which allows those of you who are so inclined to receive your own relevant information to take steps towards your own healing in your life. So I invite you to bookmark this, remember to like it if you liked it, and come back to it anytime that you need this boost, this pep talk, while you're shifting soul groups. To be honest with you, because we do that several times in life, sometimes it can feel less confusing the other times around, but if it's a relationship that we've grown particularly attached to, it can still feel confusing when a shift is happening. So I would love it if you would bookmark this and come back to listen and get some support, and maybe through the stream of consciousness writing that you do while listening, get some more of your answers each time you feel yourself going through something like this. And again, if you are someone who is working on a relationship past the point of karmic connection, and the other person is doing that with you, and you are redefining your relationship, maybe both of you would like to listen and see what information you get together. I think that would be a lovely change. As I said, it's not particularly common for people to continue their relationships in that way. So if you are one of those listeners, I really appreciate you being here as well. I invite you to use the links in the description if you would like to take part in other chat and channel sessions. Most of the topics are timeless, so you can pick and choose throughout the topics which will be relevant for you and when. I would love for you to be a subscriber so that you could tune into future chat and channel sessions and other spiritual and inspirational and enthusiastic videos of mine. And if you would like to work with me, or if you would like to heal with me, there are links in the description for that as well. My website is Damsel Designs, DAMCL Designs.com. There you can find quantum and Akashic Records readings and sessions with me. But if you are interested in healing, you can use the special contact for consult form that is linked both on my website and in the description, so that we can talk about building you a custom quantum, Sikhem, or shamanic energy healing package or life and consciousness coaching container. Currently, I only do healings and coaching through a package and a container that is custom to your soul, because I really want to work with those soul aligned clients who are interested in the deep dive and who are ready to do this deep work and get the support that their soul may be longing for, so that you can really skyrocket past the atmosphere like we were talking about. Now, while we do get a lot of information in session, healing I only do in containers, because I want to work with you as you're integrating that energy as well, so you could really make the most of it. So if you feel like you're one of those people and you would like to work together in that capacity, I would love for you to use that form and contact me so we can talk. If you would like to support the channel, by the way, and other free and public works such as this, you can do so through paypal.me/DeesEnlightenedEdits or the donate links in the description. That is not necessary. It is not a requirement for listening and participating in chat and channel session. However, for those of you who would like to support the channel and would like to help more of this information and this teaching get out there, I really appreciate any amount you are called to give in support. And with that, I am going to wish you the best of luck with your shifting, with your transitioning, with your karmas. Please know that no matter how awakened you are, or how healed or healing or self-aware you are, this is something that is entirely normal to go through. Matter of fact, it's actually a good sign. While of course it's not good to be flaky and go through people like water, that is not something I condone, obviously. Shifting soul group can happen more often, as I said, in people who are here to do the big stuff, to do the big work, to move out of this density of reality and, awaken, enlighten, whatever word you like to use. issues. So please know it can be a good sign to be going through this. I know it doesn't feel that way at the time, but making these shifts can be the very thing that gets you to the plane of existence or to the goal that you've been working for several lifetimes. So if you're here, you're getting a nod from spirit that you're on the right track, and it may feel sticky and hard right now to work through those soul contracts or those karmas or those quantum entanglements, which, by the way, are all things we can work through in energy healing if you like. But know that if you're going through that process, it's going to take you somewhere even better than you can imagine right now. And I know that it's hard to think of people leaving our lives or to think of leaving people's lives and think that anything could take the place of that. And the truth is, nothing really ever takes that exact place. But in most cases, the universe is taking you to a place where something even grander can occur for you and for the other people too. So I know it can be hard to think of or accept right now, but you're on the right track. Thank you for being on that track with me for this time we spent together. I hope to see you in other chat and channel sessions. Feel free to take part in the chat portion of this and ask any generalized questions that you like in the comments. I will do my best to get back to you, and I will see you next time. Be blessed with love, light, and light codes. Love, Danielle. #damsel at DaysEnlightenedEdits of damseldesigns.com. Bye for now.